Dawn here with Helist, and I'm so excited to be with you today and speak to you about subconscious patterns and how they are going to be a big part of your healing journey. And subconscious patterns are really tricky because they're in your blind spot. You don't even know that they're there. And the reason that is because they're formed at the ages of 0 to 7. So when you're in the womb, I know that sounds crazy, but we are picking up all the energy and all the things that are going on during that time, all the way to your 7. And at this early age, your brain for the first couple of years is in delta, which is that, little babies when they're kind of in that half sleepy state. Um, and then, they just wake up just to get enough done, right? And then for the next, let's say from 2 to 7, the theta brainwave. And theta is one of the healing frequencies, the healing brainwave that is used for programming. So it's as if your brain is literally this tape recorder that is taking in every single thing that you hear. And as you probably understand, as a child, the things that were happening to you couldn't make sense of it. You couldn't create logic out of it. So, for instance, if you were a little kid that was always told to be quiet and stop talking and wait your turn and all these things, you might have developed this thought or created this thought that was, I'm better not, keep talking. I better be quiet in order to receive love and be a good kid. I better keep my mouth shut. And so you create this pattern of behaving that is an adaptation to what is happening. Now, your parent probably wasn't really wanting you, hopefully, to not say, what you needed to say, but maybe there was just a message that came through for you about that. And so your love story then became, it's my voice isn't important. My truth isn't important. So I'm going to hide that. I'm going to keep that to myself. I might repress that. And you may find that it's very unconscious. It's very subtle. But when it comes to, let's say you're an adult and you're having a conversation with somebody and it's time for you to speak your truth, and you're terrified to do that because when you did that when you were a little kid, there were repercussions and it had an interpretation of that when you were a child. So these patterns run amok when we don't understand what they exactly are. And so since they happen at this, sometimes nonverbal, preverbal time frame, sometimes it's even just a feeling in your body. But I want you to think of subconscious beliefs and patterns as your operating system. And when it comes to healing, in order to shift, we have to work at the subconscious level. That is the place where you have to always, that's the root, where the root was formed. That's where you got to go back to. And if you just stay surface and let's just say, maybe you have anxiety about something, let's say speaking your truth, and that when it comes to, let's say you're in a work situation where you need to speak up and you need to, but you feel this kind of debilitating sense or anxiety about it. Instead of trying to pop a pill or do something like that in order to deal with your anxiety, it's going to the root. It's understanding your subconscious patterns that are dictating and ruling how you show up in your life. And one of the easiest ways that you can identify if there's a subconscious pattern that is working in your life against you is that you consciously say you want something in your life, but you're not receiving it. And it could just be, down to having, great communication in a relationship. It could be your work, whatever it may be. Start being a sleuth and detective and looking at your subconscious patterns that are showing up for you and understand there is nothing wrong with you. It's just that during this early formative time in your life, you may have received information and stored it in such a way and created an interpretation that went against you getting to be your whole full self. So if you want to be your whole self, part of our journey in healing is to reclaim those lost aspects of us and not make up a story that you're wrong, but to go back and to understand the interpretation that you may have assigned to something very early on in your life. And when you start to do that, you can start to shift the old operating system and create new patterns. And when you create new patterns and new ways of being, you will see your life shift.